Okay, let's go ahead and look at how to create a CSS file and then how to link to it from existing HTML pages. To create a CSS file, if I don't have any documents open in Dreamweaver, then I see the welcome screen and I would have the option to click on the CSS choice here, right in the middle column. Or if I already had some files open, I could always go up to File and choose New. And then in the blank page category, I could choose CSS and click on Create. And a CSS page is basically just a text file. It's just got a declaration at the top of it saying that it's a CSS document, but there's otherwise nothing special inside of there. It's just a basic page. Let's go ahead and save it. So File, Save. And I do want to give it the extension of .css. That's standard to do, to basically say that there's CSS content in there. I'm going to go ahead and give this file a name. I usually name it after the site because I tend to use this one CSS file for all of the styles for displaying the content in my pages, for all the pages in the site. So I'm going to go ahead and call this Double Identity, since that's the name of my website. And I'm going to save it in my root folder in with my other website files and click on Save. All right, of course, I'm going to want to come back in here and put some styles in here. But for the moment, I'm going to go ahead and close that file. And I'm going to open up my About the Film.htm page. And what I'd like to do is go ahead and connect this HTML page to my CSS file so that once I do put styles in the CSS file, then it will be able to affect the content, the text that's in this page. So perhaps the easiest way to connect your HTML page to a CSS file is through the CSS Styles panel. If this panel wasn't already open for me, here I'll go ahead and collapse it. I could click in this gray area to open it up, or I can always go to the window menu to find any panel that I want to bring out. So this would be another way to open that panel up. And as you can imagine, this is a panel we use a lot when working with styles. So inside of here, I'm on my HTML page. Doesn't matter if I'm in Code, Split, or Design View. I'm going to go ahead and click on this little link down here in the lower right-hand corner, which when I hover over it says Attach Style Sheet. That's exactly what I want. Click on that. I'm going to click on Browse, and I'm going to go ahead and make my way to my CSS file because that's what I want to connect to. I'm going to select that file. And while I'm in here, let me just mention these media choices. I'm going to leave it blank in my case because I want to use this CSS file for all of my output media possibilities. But just to mention to you, it is possible to create more than one CSS file. For instance, you might have one that is for somebody viewing your website on their monitor. In that case, you would choose media of screen. And maybe you have a second CSS file that's to be used if anybody goes to print any of your pages from the site to their printer. So in that case, you would choose media print. So you notice there's some other choices. If you want to have a CSS file for people viewing your website through a handheld device, or a teletype machine, a braille reading device. So yeah, you've got a lot of media choices here. I am going to go ahead and use this one CSS file for all the media types, and I can do that by simply leaving this blank. Okay, now what happened when I was on this HTML page and linked over to my CSS file is Dreamweaver put in this code for me. So what's going to happen is the browser, the end user's browser, is going to read the page from top down. It's going to see this link tag. It's going to go read that CSS file. I know there aren't any styles in there right now, but if there were, it would read those styles. It would know that, oh, that's a style sheet file, so relationship equals style sheet, and it would know that there's text/CSS code in there. So the browser would go read the styles in the CSS file, then it would come back here and it would continue down the document. If there were any styles for the H1 tag or the P tag or the EM tag, it would know how to format the text within those tags. So if there was a rule for the H1 tag that said, make this font be Verdana, then it would go ahead when it sees the H1 tag and it would display the text in Verdana. And it would just continue down the page. Any styles that it found in the CSS file, it would go ahead and display the page appropriately in the browser. Excellent. So how you create a new CSS file, it was through File New and choosing the CSS option. And then how you connect an HTML page to the CSS file is over in the CSS Styles panel, clicking on the Style Sheet button, selecting the CSS file, and clicking on OK. Excellent.